Respect our movement.
I like your movement.
Black Entrepreneurs Group.
What's going on, everybody? Hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and leave comments below, man, and support the movement and everything I got going on. Today, we got another exciting video for y'all. Let me tell you, this is deep here. I'm gonna jump right in. Today, we're gonna talk about going in different directions. The key word is directions. Directions. In friendships, relationships, marriages, bonds, going in the same direction is key. You have to be going in the same direction. Y'all have to be on the same page, man. It's very easy for us as people to lose focus on what's important and being on the same page with each other. I'm gonna give you guys 10 signs that you and your partner are going in completely different directions. My first point, I would say you or your partner are consistently on social media. This right here is a big one. You find yourself spending more time on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, than actually having conversations with the person that you're with. A lot of people think that that's okay. A lot of people will sit in a living room or a family room and be directly across from their significant other or their friend, and they'll be texting or Facebooking someone else, not really showing their partner interest, not really taking the relationship aspect serious, not really taking time to cultivate and build that relationship up. Social media can be a serious hindrance. It's designed for you to be able to connect with people all around the world. And a lot of times we fall victim to not really paying attention to the people that's right in front of us. And that's really something that I think that a lot of us should focus on. Let me see. My second one would probably be other people can tell that y'all are going in two different directions. When your family and friends start asking questions, and they can see things that you can't see, then maybe, you should analyze the situation a little more carefully and a little more closely to see if you guys are actually really going in the same direction, or are y'all really treading on those thin lines of actually going in separate directions. A lot of times we tend to not see things in a sense because we get so focused on the person and not the actual relationship or the task at hand that we set aside for ourselves. If that makes any kind of sense, everyone around you, from your family to your friends, can see things within your relationship that you can't see. And a lot of times we fall victim to being blind. We turn a blind eye to a lot of things because we're in it, and we don't really take that part serious in a sense. I too struggle with that. A lot of times in previous relationships, or previous people that I've given my time to, I find that a lot of times my family or my friends will see things and they'll pull me to the side and they'll say, hey, is everything all right with this, or how y'all doing, or things like that. And a lot of times, I can't see things. A lot of times when you're in a relationship, you find every quote unquote excuse to, think that your situation is all right. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes, we paint a picture like everything is okay in our home, and sometimes our home is broken, and, we have to fix it. My third point, I would say, if you're always, rolling your eyes in a sense, or if you're always, losing interest or annoyed by the things that your significant other is doing, it's times to where you find yourself, having a conversation with your partner, and, you roll your eyes or you sucking your teeth, and you really giving off that bad vibe, like you don't really want to be there, or instead of you feeling the need to really address certain circumstances, situations, you kind of brush it off. You start nitpicking or criticizing, or just just playing the blame game a lot of times, or fighting about old things that really doesn't matter. A lot of times, as males, we tend to hold a lot of things in, and a lot of times when we have issues, we tend to just brush them off. And a lot of times with women, they're very vocal, so they would say things, or they'll put things out there as bait to see if you're gonna really react to something. And if you do react to it, they're gonna know, okay, you're bothered by this, or you're not bothered by this. Or if they have an issue, they're gonna get it off their chest either way. Women have a innate ability to really get things off their chest and get their point across, whether you want to hear it or not. And a lot of times, it's not what you say, is how you say it. And timing is everything. You have to figure out your love language. You have to figure out what your significant other, your partner, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your wife, or your husband, you have to figure out, their love language. A lot of times, it's not that we don't want to talk about things. It's that sometimes if we talk about things before we have time to process it, it can go horribly left really quickly. And that's something you don't want, because again, once you start ignoring the other person's feelings, then again, that's a sign that you're going in two total different directions. My next point, I would say, not pleasing each other. It's very important to put a smile on your significant other's face. It's very important, to really take the time out to compliment each other, and really, please each other, from a standpoint of, if it's gonna make her or him unhappy, just don't do it. Finding honesty and sincerity in a lot of things that you do, with it coming from the heart, is something that's very important. And a lot of times we find ourselves in situations to where we're not pleasing the other people because we're not happy ourselves. And that's the part that I really, want to stress, because a lot of times, hurt people, and unhappy people make everyone around them unhappy. Have you ever been in a situation to where, you had a positive vibe, and then somebody comes around and they have a negative vibe, a negative mind frame, or a negative spirit, and then when they leave, you feel drained, or you feel negative after that? That's what happens. A lot of times you can't be around negativity, and that negativity don't hop off on you, because it's gonna hop off on you. I would say my next point would be, your intimacy level. Sex really isn't a thing, and what I mean by that is, you find yourself in a situation to where, um, sex is like a loaded issue. You can't remember the last time you had sex with your partner, and the mere thought of being intimate with your partner or your significant other, it makes you cringe. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's painfully obvious that if you're not turned on by the person that you're with, then you guys are probably going in two different directions. And that's one of those things that where a lot of times your mate, want sex and you don't want sex, or vice versa. A lot of times it's, oh, you're too tired to do this, or you're too tired to do that. But a lot of times it's not even that. A lot of times people fall in and out of love every single day. And even from that standpoint, people tend to have low intimacy levels from time to time. I often ask these questions a lot. Is your love tank empty? And a lot of people are confused by that. Like, have you really told someone that you love them and meant it in the last 24 hours? Is your love tank really empty? And if it is empty, figure out ways to refuel your love tank, because it's very important. Sex isn't everything, but it's a very important part of the intimacy process. And a lot of us, as men, we shy away from being intimate a lot of times because it leads to vulnerability, and we're afraid to be vulnerable in front of women for some odd reason. I don't know why, but it's a man thing. We have to be so masculine that a lot of times we lose sight in being intimate, and our intimacy levels drop. dramatically, which is a bad thing, you know. I'm no different than anybody else. It has happened to me before in the past, and you know, you work to cultivate and build new ways of thinking and do things differently, you know. My next point would be, you guys argue and fight all the time, and a lot of times, you know, fights can be more physical, and some fights are non-physical, but they're, you know, more mental, you know, than anything. A lot of times we find ourselves mentally disturbed by the people that we're with. We find ourselves in situations to where the fighting becomes more and more, you know, intense. A lot of times it's not, you know, you putting your hands on someone when it's fighting. And, you know, you can toss some words around, and your words can lead to, you know, a fight per se. Your words can lead you into a situation to where you're quote unquote in the doghouse, as one of my good friends would say. And if you're, it's let me say it like this: it's nothing wrong with arguing if you're having good arguments. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you start to have the same arguments over and over and over, it can lead to some brutal, you know, fights, some brutal arguments. And once it gets to that point, you know that you're going in two different directions. My next point is you start looking outside of your relationship for answers. A lot of times, we will find ourselves getting attached to people outside of our relationships, our friendships, our marriages, our bonds. We find outside people to vent to, which is a bad thing in a sense, because these people get attached to us. They get attached to the stories that we tell, and because it's so one-sided, these people only get your point of view. We find ourselves in situations to where outside people, and that's male and female, you know, we get so attached to them that they start getting attached to our ideas, excuse me, and they look at things from our perspective, and they find themselves falling in love with the idea of you. You know, this is what happens in a lot of times when the two people, the two partners, the two significant others are going in two different directions. One will seek advice from a person from the opposite sex, and it leads into something other than what they anticipated and expect to happen. It happens all the time. You have to find a common balance, you know. If you feel as though you can't talk to your significant other, and you've tried, you know, counseling sessions and things like that, or one-on-one sessions with someone that you both trust, and the results didn't change, then, you know, maybe you guys are actually just going in two different directions, and things aren't, you know, where they need to be. A lot of times we have to put ourselves in positions to where we, you know, take a back seat to our own relationships, our own marriages, our own bonds, our own friendships, and actually critique them, and say, hey, this isn't it. We're going in two different directions, and you have to stand on your word. Be a man, be a woman. My next point, I would say, you start to take each other for granted. The worst thing you can do in situations is take people for granted. Listen, life is short. It is very, very short. You could be here today and gone tomorrow. You know, you don't wine and dine each other anymore. You don't like to cuddle. You don't like to kiss. You don't like to spend time with each other. You know, you are no longer enjoying each other's company. You know, and these are things that really can cause a relationship to destruct right in front of you. You know, you really have to take in consideration that, you know, taking each other for granted is something that a lot of people, you know, will consider the quote unquote end of all ends when it comes to a relationship, because what you won't do, someone else will. You know, and we all have heard that saying, but in reality, it is so true. You know, if you are taking your girlfriend, your wife, your significant other, your partner, your friend, your bond for granted, it can be removed, and you can be replaced. You know, people think that you can't be replaced, like you're irreplaceable, as Beyonce would say, but I'm here to tell you, everybody, you, the listener, can be replaced at any given point in time. It does not matter how much you love a person. If you take them for granted, they will replace you. You can be replaced. It happens all the time. You can fix yourself. You can do everything that you want to do to make yourself the quote unquote best dude or the best girl out here, but you can be replaced. A lot of times it's not even people that do the replacing. A lot of times God will remove people from you because he sees that you want to elevate and the person that you're attached to doesn't want to elevate. That's deep. My next point is you're physically parting ways. You see people detach a lot of times by physically parting ways. You guys may, still be around each other, but you're not around each other as much. You're not doing the things that you used to do. You find yourself in situations to where you don't really like being around this person. This person stopped texting to make sure you was alive. They stopped communicating with you. They find themselves, or you find yourself in a situation to where you're doing a lot of reaching out and they're not responding. These things are serious issues when it comes down to, going in two separate directions. If you're not building, you're destroying. If you're not helping, you're hindering, in a sense. And these are the things that I feel as though we don't take in consideration when we think about other people's feelings. Let me say that again. If you're not building, you're destroying. If you're not helping, you're hindering. A lot of people right now looking at this video, you are hindering someone else's process because you're not helping them. A lot of people out here right now struggle with getting the assistance they need because they are a hindrance to other people. Other people are hindering them from growing. If you have someone in your circle, whether it's your friends, whether it's your family, whether it's, a significant other that's hindering you from growing, then you have to depart from them. If not, then you will never grow. And you'll never grow physically, you'll never grow mentally, you'll never grow spiritually, you'll never grow. You'll be dead. And that's the thing that I think a lot of people don't realize. Direction is key when it comes down to relationships. My last point I would say is you start feeling suspicious about things. You start noticing things and you get that gut feeling a lot of times that your intuition kicks in that something isn't right. A lot of times we equate intuition with cheating, and that's not the case, man. You can be the best person in the world and get an intuition that something isn't right about your significant other or your friend or something like that. And a lot of times you have these questions that don't get answered. Like why are you struggling with these things, or why is she struggling with these things, or why is he struggling with these things? And you ask and they tell you, hey, I'm good, I'm fine. I'm going through this, or I'm not going through this. And what happens is you sabotage your relationship in a sense. You sabotage the thing that you really wanted the most was to be in a relationship, to be in a healthy relationship, because you guys are treading on the lines of going in two different directions. It's very important to be evenly yoked with people that share the same vision, the same dream, the same goals. A lot of times I say that and people think I'm talking, hey, if you want to be a salon owner, that I should want to be a salon owner and we can get together. No, what I mean by that is if your mindset is to be a boss, then you should be trying to, build a relationship with someone that has that same mentality to be a boss. It's okay to work a 9 to 5, and I'm not saying it's not okay, but it's hard to have a boss mentality when your significant other, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your wife, your best friend, all they want to do is be a normal person that works a 9 to 5. They don't understand the mentality that you have as a boss, and that's the thing that I feel as though a lot of times pulls people in two different directions. You have to be evenly yoked. You have to understand that if you're not helping, you're hurting. If you're not building, you're destroying. Please, 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 please don't be a hindrance. Be a help meet, please. This week's assignment is going to be, a little bit different. I want you to really take the time out this week and find you 5 people. Find you 5 people that you can give $5 to. to help them with whatever they're going through, whatever they're struggling with. Whether it's, $5 can go towards gas, $5 can go towards buying someone a meal, $5 could be going towards getting some groceries or something. I really want you guys to get in the habit of doing stuff for other people, helping other people, because your life is not about you. It's about helping someone. So this week's assignment is to find you 5 people. Genuinely do it from the kindness of your heart. Find 5 people that you can give $5 to. That's only $25. And I know you guys can do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to be reaching out to some people and really taking the time out to really have some one-on-one conversations with people. I'm thinking about going live, on Facebook, probably, if not tonight, I'll probably do it tomorrow, and we'll go from there. But that's your weekly assignment for this week, and I'll see you next week.